Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the powerful philosophy of the historian Dr. John Henrik Clarke. We're going to unpack his sharp analysis of African history and his bold, really uncompromising vision for the future.
So let's start with the big idea that really frames everything we're going to talk about. For Dr. Clarke, this is not just some hopeful, nice-sounding phrase. Nope, it's a call to action. It's this core belief that a people's future isn't a gift you just wait around for. It's a prize that you have to actively, deliberately, and, rigorously go out and forge for yourself.
So, to really get why this call for preparedness is so urgent, we first have to see what Dr. Clarke says was lost. He paints this picture of a world before the Great Invasions started chipping away at everything. What Dr. Clarke describes here is something pretty radical. He talks about societies built not on things like prisons, but on a deep natural humanity. I mean, think about it. The social structure itself was designed to care for everyone, the young, the old, the vulnerable. And get this, with women holding positions of power, even leading armies, he argues this wasn't some primitive world. It was a highly sophisticated social order. And this social harmony, it was all rooted in a really unique way of seeing the world. It wasn't about different religions competing with each other. Instead, Dr. Clarke describes this universal kind of spirituality that saw the divine in everything. The whole goal was to bring humanity into harmony with nature, based on this belief that God wasn't some faraway figure, but was a presence right there in the wind, in the water, and most critically, inside of you. So out of this worldview, you get this explosion of incredible innovation. According to Clarke, this was the world that gave birth to truly radical concepts. We're talking about medicine, pioneered by figures like Imhotep, the whole idea of a single universal God, and the very concept of higher education, all of this long before it ever showed up in Europe. So, if things were like that, what happened? How did this civilization of harmony and, incredible innovation fall into this period of just prolonged destruction? Dr. Clarke argues this long trauma didn't just break Africa, it reshaped the entire world. This timeline here, it lays out what Dr. Clarke describes as just this relentless series of invasions, one wave after another, each one chipping away at African sovereignty. You have the Hyksos, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, each one left its mark. And then this culminates in the Arab and then European invasions, which, they unleash the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism on the world. And this is where Dr. Clarke points to this massive hypocrisy at the heart of it all. The invaders, especially the Europeans, they came promising things like civilization, democracy, and salvation. But what they actually delivered, he argues, was the complete opposite. Colonialism, slavery, and the systematic theft of resources that created this legacy of dependency we still see today. And this leads to a really radical reframing of emancipation itself. For Dr. Clarke, it wasn't true freedom, not at all. It was a strategic evolution. Chattel slavery it morphed. It changed its clothes, becoming new forms of control, things like colonialism and sharecropping, that kept people in economic bondage, all while giving the illusion of liberty. But here's the thing. All that destruction, it was always met with an equally long history of resistance. The fight for freedom didn't just pop up in the 20th century. Dr. Clarke really emphasizes that this is an unbroken historical tradition. He draws this incredible line right through history. It connects ancient architects and thinkers like Imhotep to fiery abolitionists like David Walker and Bishop Turner, all the way to modern nation builders like Marcus Garvey. In Clarke's view, they are all part of the exact same historical current, a long, determined struggle for liberation. And this brings us to the critical, really tough, self-reflective question that Dr. Clarke asks constantly. With this powerful heritage of resistance, and after that so-called independence explosion in the mid-20th century, why did so many liberation movements seem to falter or fail to achieve real, true freedom? His analysis points to some critical internal failures. He said that newly independent nations often just copied the political and economic models of their former colonizers. That intellectuals, because they were educated in European systems, became sort of psychologically dependent, even afraid to challenge their old teachers.
And the push for integration, he saw that as a huge strategic error, where Black-owned institutions got dismantled for a seat at a table where they were never really welcome. And that brings us right back to where we started. If the past was stolen and the present is a struggle against new kinds of control, how do you seize tomorrow? Well, according to Dr. Clark, you prepare.
So this is the roadmap for the future. It is not about asking for a seat at someone else's table. No, it's about building your own house on 4 fundamental pillars. First, control your own resources. Second, build your own institutions. Third, reclaim your spirituality. And fourth, know your history, because that is a powerful tool for liberation.
And you know what? This makes that huge, grand vision feel really practical. The work isn't for some far-off day in the future. It starts right now on the local level. As Clark says, you rehearse for nationhood by first learning how to manage your own communities, your schools, your businesses, and your family.
But in the end, the vision goes way beyond just the local community. It becomes a global one. For Dr. Clark, the only real path forward is Pan-African nationalism, the unification of the billion-strong African diaspora into a single, powerful, self-determined force on the world stage, one that's capable of defending its own interests.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. It's a direct challenge, isn't it? A challenge to move from a state of waiting to a state of acting, from being dependent to being self-reliant. It puts the responsibility for seizing tomorrow squarely where Dr. John Henrik Clarke believed it always belonged, with the prepared people ready to reclaim their own destiny.